Hi, Book 2. This is Lindsay and Winnie again. I know I just did an April TBR, but I've seen so many people talk about this readathon. It's the Owls Readathon, and I will leave a link in the description below to the creator and their links of sources, because it's really cool. She's created, the Owls is related to Harry Potter, the testing that they have to do, the wizarding testing. And so she's created a readathon with all these prompts. And so you pick your career that you want, and then you have to take these tests in order to go on to your newts, which is the next level to get your career. And so I picked librarian. I think a lot of bookish people are inclined to want to be a librarian, so I went with that one. And so for me, I have to do 5 tests. And the first one is Ancient Runes. And it's a retelling is the prompt. And so I decided to go with Snow and Rose, this really pretty cover. And it's by Emily Winfield Martin. And it's a children's middle grade retelling. It says, I think it's illustrated because its author, it says she's also an illustrator. So I'm assuming there's going to be lots of art. And considering that cover, I think I'm going to really enjoy the artwork. It says, Snow and Rose didn't know they were in a fairy tale. People never do. Once they lived in a big house with spectacular gardens and an army of servants. Once they had a father and mother who loved them more than the sun and moon. But that was before their father disappeared into the woods and their mother disappeared into sorrow. This is the story of 2 sisters in the enchanted woods that have been waiting for them to break a set of terrible spells. So to me, it was Snow and Rose, and like looking at the cover, I'm thinking Snow White and Red Riding Hood is who I think is going to be talked about in this fairy tale retelling. And so I thought, because I already have an April TBR with oodles of books, and so with this I don't want to overburden myself too much, and so for this one I'm starting with a middle grade to hopefully be able to pass my Owls exams. The next one is kind of the opposite of what I was just talking about, because it's a massive book. The next one's Arithmetic, and for that it's a book written by more than one author. And I decided to go with a collection of science fiction. It's the very best of the best. And it says 35 years of the year's best science fiction. And it's edited by Gardner Dozos, if I can pronounce that right. And so this is, I guess it's a series that's been going on, but this is like the last one in the series. And it's, let's see. I don't know if it gives me like time frame, because I know like each volume is like a couple of decades. So I think this one is like a couple decades ago to present, I believe. And so this one for sure fits the bill of more than one author, because it says it gives me a number. Yeah, I'm not sure how many short stories are in here, but the book is 704 pages. So like I mentioned, the first one's going to be a middle grade, which will help me ease me into this readathon. But this one's going to be massive. Another mammoth, almost a mammoth, like I was reading in the month of March. And the next one for the Owls is Defense Against the Dark Arts. And for this one, it's read a book starting with the letter R. And so I decided to go with Ramona the Pest, which was on my April TBR, by Beverly Cleary. And this one is the second book in the Ramona Quimby series. And it says, Ramona doesn't think she's a pest. She knows that she isn't a pest on purpose. So how in the world does Ramona get in trouble? Why does Davy run away whenever Ramona comes near him? And how does she manage to disrupt the whole kindergarten class during their rest time? And so this will be another cute read. I read the first one last month or February. And so I want to continue on with the series before I forget too much. It was a really cute story about siblings and them growing up and the messes they get into. So I'm expecting probably around the same for this one. And the next one is History of Magic. And it's read a book that was published at least 10 years ago. And so this one was published in 2001. And it's a book I've been meaning to get to for a while. It's Grant by Jean Edward Smith. And like I mentioned in my April TBR, I have a couple of Grant biographies that I've been meaning to read. But this one really caught my eye because it focuses a lot on him being a president. A lot of biographies of Grant focus, of course, on him being a general in the Civil War. and not as much of attention is given as him being a president. And so this one is going to really focus on that time period in his life. So I'm really looking forward to this one. And then the last one is Transfiguration, and it's for this one, it's read a book with a red cover, with red on the cover. And so I chose Underground: A Human History of the Worlds Beneath Our Feet by Will Hunt. And I really like this cover because you have the city and you have the people, and then you have, you know, like your subway system, you know, your sewers, and then, you know, all sorts of stuff. Because you don't really think about, especially people in a city, you don't really think about, you know, what's going underneath your feet. And so I've already started this one. And Will Hunt, he grew up in Providence, Rhode Island, and he became fascinated as a kid, you know, investigating the underworld of his region. And so throughout the book, he is going all over and interviewing people and actually, you know, going into these caves and tunnels and sewers and whatnot, and meeting people, and talks about the science of how your brain changes, you know, if you're in the dark for a prolonged period of time. He interviews, there's a couple who lives in like an abandoned area of a subway station. They've been down there for 30 years when he wrote this book, and they haven't surfaced in 30 years, and so they're like kind of schizophrenic in a way. And so it's a really interesting book, and so this was one for red on the cover. For this copy, I have it just red on the print, but another copy I saw had red like intermingled here as well, like for the rocks and stuff. So yeah, these are the books I'm planning to read for the Owls Readathon. And like I said, I'll leave a link in the description below to all of the information so you can look and pick your career. There was quite a few that I was interested in, but library, of course, caught my eye. So yeah, wish me luck. Thanks. See you soon, BookTube.